Gramado Film Market, as conexões do festival.
O painel de hoje traz informações sobre os fundos internacionais como fontes de financiamento de projetos brasileiros em parceria com o Cinema do Brasil, Brazilian Content e Projeto Paradiso, que desenvolveram o Show Me the Fund, com a presença da Karen Harley e Rafaela Canatti, da Manjericão Filmes. O World Cinema Fund e o seu foco de apoio ao Brasil será apresentado por Miriam Hans, diretora do fundo. Lembrando que este painel tem tradução simultânea do inglês e lembrando que temos também o apoio do Tecnapuc RS.
Boa tarde, pessoal. Muito obrigada por estarem conosco. Eu gostaria de apresentar a vocês a Miriam Enzi, a Rafaela Cavinati e a Karen Harley, para que a gente pudesse começar o nosso painel de hoje. Hello.
Hi.
Ok.
Thank you. Thank you, Festival de Gramado and Gramado Film Market, for the invitation for us to talk about the international funds. My name is Karen Harley. I work at Cinema do Brasil, which is an association of audiovisual professionals in Brazil, funded in 2006 by CISP. We have more than 100 members among distributors, producers, sales, and festivals. And our aim is the internationalization of the Brazilian film industry abroad. So we promote films and projects of Brazilian filmmakers in festivals and markets. We encourage the international co-production and the distribution of Brazilian films abroad. And here we invited Miriam Henze from World Cinema Fund, which is one of the funds that is best known by the Brazilian producers. They always supported the Brazilian industry. They have awarded many Brazilian projects in the past years. And also Rafaela Costa from Manjericão Films. She's an executive producer and partner at Manjericão Films. She produces Brazilian films and also produce international co-productions. So just to explain a little bit of this dynamic, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Show Me the Fund to present this project to you guys, which is a publication of 50 international funds. And then I'm gonna ask Miriam to present World Cinema Fund to everybody, and Rafaela to make the questions from the producer's side, okay? So let's start with Show Me the Fund. As I said, is a publication. It's an initiative of Cinema do Brasil, Projeto Paradiso, and Brazilian Content. It's the result of this idea that we had of creating something user-friendly, a user-friendly resource to help the Brazilian producers and other players to search for opportunities of international fund, especially at this time when the national and regional funds are harder to get. The idea is to make it easier for the Brazilian producers, professionals to find alternatives to the filmmaking. When we first had the idea, we called LATAM, another partner, which is a group of journalists that are specialized in the audiovisual sector. They produce a lot of content focused on Latin America, but not only. So we did, and then we have all this material. It's a compilation of 50 international funds. It's accessible to Brazilian professionals to apply. It's open to feature films, documentaries, fiction, and also TV series. Some of the funds are more popular than others, like World Cinema Fund that you're gonna hear here today. But it's a big range, so we have the less known funds by the Brazilian filmmakers also. So we really believe it's really useful information. We hope you enjoy it. This information is being published in editions, including 10 funds each edition, so 5 editions with 10 funds each. At the end, we'll have the 50 funds. And we are in the 3rd edition, and World Cinema Fund is in the 3rd edition. And tomorrow we launch the 4th edition during the Florianopolis Audiovisual Market. And all the material is in English, it's for free, and can be downloaded in the website showmethefund.co. You can download the past editions. You can see the new ones also. So we already presented Show Me the Fund in many events. We always invite the Brazilian professionals who have experience, international experience with funds, and also the representatives of the funds to talk about. And today we have, thanks to Gramado Film Market, we have here Miriam from World Cinema Fund to present. So Miriam, here with you now.
Thank you very much, Karen, for the presentation, and also to the Gramado Film Festival for this invitation. It is a great pleasure to be here and to be able to present the World Cinema Fund. I'm going to talk about what we do as a fund, what our main objectives are, and also reflect on this strong relationship we have had since the beginning of the fund with the Brazilian cinema. So I'm going to start my presentation now. Yes, the World Cinema Fund is a so-called selective fund, which gives financial support for international co-productions. So we mainly support, the support is mainly for feature-length films, so for fiction films and documentaries from basically all genres. It's not a support for short films. And its main profile or main objective is the support for films that come from regions or countries where the film industry is considered that the infrastructure is weak, or where the industry is in development. And the objective is to strengthen the cooperation with a German partner, a German producer, in most cases, which is then part of the project. And through this fund, we are able to support the project and the filmmakers from these regions to show the films to a global audience, where we believe that the visibility is needed. And as an international fund, it works on all three levels. As an institution, its objective is to strengthen these international cooperations, and also being one of a player in the film financing and also the film festival landscape. Through the support, it has an impact of on the further development of the films, and really can help to create visibility and also bring diversity to international cinema. The World Cinema Fund has two main support lines, which is the production support and distribution support. The distribution support is aimed for films that are going to be released in German cinemas. So usually German distributors apply for this support, and it goes and it's an ongoing basis, the applications throughout the year. And our production support, we have 2 deadlines per year, and we have throughout the years created different programs with slightly different profiles in order to cover all regions and all the different production structures of films coming from the eligible regions. So our so-called classic program is the oldest program. And then we could create, with the support of Creative Europe Media, the World Cinema Fund Europe program. In this case, the support goes towards co-production with European partners on board. Then we could also create the World Cinema Fund Africa support, which is intended for regions, for projects that come from regions from the sub-Saharan countries in Africa. And this year we could introduce a new program, which is the World Cinema Fund ACP. This is with the additional support from the African, Caribbean and Pacific group of states. And in this support, this is a top-up support. So it means you can double or triple the funding amount if your project was eligible for the Classic program or the World Cinema Fund Africa program. And another program that we also started this year with with a pilot project last year was the World Cinema Fund Torino Film Lab Audience Design Award. So we had our first edition last year with Las Mil y Una, the film from Argentina director Clarissa Navas. It was a great success. So we are really happy that we can offer it now every year, this support, which I will explain later what it is about. These are the main regions, or the World Cinema Fund eligible regions and countries where the regions where we support films that are being made in these regions are being filmed there, and also the director of the project needs to be from this region. So the maximum support is 60,000 euros for production, and if the project is in post-production stage, we can award an amount of 40,000 euros. The submissions, with the exception of the World Cinema Fund Europe program, can be made by the local production company. So although the contract, the funding agreement is made with the German partner, you can apply without the German partner. So the local production company applies, and if you are recommended for receiving funding, then you can find a co-producer. And we have 2 deadlines per year. The first is between February and March, typically after the Berlinale. And the second one is in July, and the results are usually given 4 months after the deadline. And so the one aspect from the Europe program support is that in the production structure, you need to have a European partner which has a company in one of the countries part of the Creative Europe Media program. And also the share in this types of funding program, the European share must be between 20% and 70%. So usually we have projects where the production structure is with a French partner maybe, or with a partner from the Netherlands, and then maybe the main producers from Brazil. And there the European share needs to be in these amounts. So as I mentioned earlier, to be able to close the contract, there needs to be a German partner on board, and this has a little bit of pragmatic background. The German partner is the one responsible at the World Cinema Fund to fulfill the requirements, and is also the recipient of the funding amount, and then the entire amount needs to be spent in the World Cinema Fund eligible region. So, for example, the funding amount will be sent for production costs in the region, and this is a very effective way of supporting productions because the money really goes there where the money is needed. And so obviously the German partner is also has also creative input, and as a co-producer naturally has also also plays a creative role in the project. So this new program, as I mentioned earlier, the Audience Design Award, is a cooperation with the Torino Film Lab, and it consists of a 4-day workshop where the goal is to, together with experts, to find and define your target audience for your film, and then based on that create a strategy to reach this audience and to bring your film and your distribution then to your main audience. And it is not a coincidence that this year we have also one additional award, which we call On the Road, because it takes place as part of the activities from the Cinemundi co-production meeting. And there, one of the participants of this market will be awarded for their project with this Audience Design Award. And also one of the objectives is of these programs on the road is to bring these tools to the professionals in those places in order for them to be able to adapt these tools to create their own strategies for their own necessities of their own characteristics of audiences in their place. So the World Cinema Fund has maintained a strong relationship with Brazilian cinema, not only because well, Brazil is one of the countries from Latin America who most submits projects to the World Cinema Fund since the beginning. Also being a strong cinematography from Latin America. I looked at the statistics and I was very impressed because it is very clear how as things change and as things happen in Brazil, it is directly reflected on the amount of projects of submissions we have received in the last years. So as a comparison, 10 years ago, from the total submitted projects, 4% were projects from Brazil, and this year it tripled, so it was 12%. Also, of course, the total amount of submissions increased, but here the World Cinema Fund, we are kind of in a position of observers because we see how the numbers are reflected, and also we see in the scripts or in the project proposals what kinds of subjects are urgent or what kind of thematics are being treated in film. So what this reflects a very current state of things in a specific country. We last year, part of the Berlinale activities, every year we have a World Cinema Fund Day where we present our results or our different achievements or plans for the future. And last year it was a very satisfying event because we had a panel with focus on Brazil where we discussed also the current state of the industry and political changes, and just we had an overall impression on what the local climate is regarding the industry. Other activities that the World Cinema Fund has during the Berlinale are we're also present at the European Film Market or Berlinale Talents events at the co-production market. We are there, so professionals can talk to us, producers can maybe discuss projects or have general questions. So we try to give as much information as possible. We also do in abroad. We have done some spotlights, which I will show later. So these are some impressions of the activities we had last year and also the year before that I mentioned. And here we have had some presence in the focus regions from the World Cinema Fund in terms of we organized screenings from films that were supported, workshops, talks. So we also try to reach the people there, and not only the people who come to Berlinale. So a few aspects that I would like to share to consider while submitting a project to the World Cinema Fund is while of course the production structure is relevant, the World Cinema Fund looks at it. The World Cinema Fund is mostly interested in the artistic vision of the project, and it really wants to look for a strong vision of the director. So this would be a recommendation to really in the submission to express a clear and strong artistic vision for the project. Also, a practical aspect is to apply with a project that is already advanced in the development and also in the financing. We do not support project development. We support production and post-production. So it is in terms of organizing the whole funding procedure, it is important to submit once your project is ready, almost ready to shoot, or where some substantial financing is already in place. We don't require the projects to already have a certain amount secured of the financing. But it is important that an amount is already secured, because also our funding periods, because they are bound to requirements from our funding bodies. So we cannot wait too long for a film to be filmed. So this is just a selection from some films that have received funding. There is also, I will show at the end, there is the booklet, which contains all projects that have been supported, which can be downloaded on our website. And this is a selection from films from Brazil that have been supported. And one aspect from the World Cinema Fund is that the films are free to have their premiere at any festival. It doesn't need to be the Berlinale, there is no obligation. Although obviously some, because of the relation, are then selected or can be seen at the Berlinale. So at the website, the booklet is available for download, where you can find all projects listed, and also information about our funding programs and so on. So thank you very much. I am here for questions. I am looking forward for discussions, and you can reach us at our website and also at our email address. So thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I just realized that I was silenced. I'm gonna call, thank you, Miriam. I'm gonna call Rafaela Costa now. She's a Brazilian executive producer. She has experience with international co-productions, has applied to many funds, including World Cinema Fund. She produced Bagdá, Meu Nome é Bagdá, in 2020. That was a generation in Berlinale this year, and was awarded as best movie for the international jury. So Rafaela, thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to have you here to make questions from the producer's point of view. So go ahead, it's on you now.
Hello. Hello, Miriam, Karen, all of you. I'm very glad to be here talking to you all. This is a huge opportunity to know more about this important program that is World Cinema Fund. First of all, I'd like to thank Cinema do Brasil, Projeto Paradiso, Brazilian Content, and Latam Cinema for the initiative presenting this important program, Show the Fund, that managed to bring together the different funds, being a facilitator for us producers, since the access to public funds in Brazil became more difficult, and always. So I have some questions to Miriam. I love the explain, and some questions are answered, but I will do because I think are recurring when we apply for World Cinema Fund and other funds. So what kind of project you are looking for? Because I always applied and you know.
Yes, yes, that
The
is a
golden
good question. The golden question, exactly. No, I mean, that is a question that we hear all the time, of course, and that is the question of the year. And I, well, the answer is there isn't a kind of project that we are looking for. There is no specific. There isn't necessarily a profile. So it is, I think, a number of aspects that come together when that play a role in the projects that are selected. And it is, one can be stronger than the other. It is, as I mentioned, mainly the artistic vision. So like what the director wants to do, what the director wants to tell with the film. And then it also plays a role which aspects are urgent to treat in the film, or what is the background of the film and also of the filmmakers, what is the general situation of the project, what difference will the support of the World Cinema Fund make in the film. So that is one aspect that is taken into consideration. Like what can we do with the support more than money, more than just completing the budget. And yes, I think that is it is always difficult. Of course, we would like to support more projects, but we also have a limited amount of funding, and it is sometimes hard to decide also which amounts to give to the projects in order that it really fills the part of the financing that is needed. So when a submitted project doesn't receive support, it doesn't mean that the project isn't strong in its artistic vision or in its script or in its story. Sometimes there are other aspects that are more urgent in other projects.
Okay, so I think you respond about the criteria of the project needs to have to be considered for the fund.
Well, some criteria that that plays a certain role. Yes, I mean, we have external selection committees and a jury that finally decides on all these aspects. So from my point of view, I coordinate the funded projects. From my point of view, I can speak about the criteria that will make a project viable and eligible for funding, and also where I see that the most of the support goes into.
Yes, and you said the project will be done to film. World Cinema Fund doesn't invest in development and
yes.
in more advanced.
Yes, so often we have projects that are being submitted where we find it interesting, or not me, but the World Cinema Fund, and there is a clear potential, but we see that the production structure isn't yet strong enough, or the script it is clear that it is going to be rewritten or developed further. And so it is possible that in a later stage, if it is of interest to the fund, that in a later stage it could apply again for funding, and then and then see.
It could apply again.
Well,
it
is not possible to apply with the same project again officially, but if you could receive feedback from the funds if there is some potential in the project, or if it is if the whole process is possible to receive funding at a later stage.
If the project is different or changed the argument, I don't know, I can apply again.
Well, yeah, this needs to be discussed with our funding manager, Isonat Metla. She's the one who decides if changes are significant in order to receive a reapplication, but officially it is not possible with the same project. So that is why it is recommended to apply once your project is really at a very solid stage, because the support is for the production. So it is expected that the film will be filmed soon, and that most of the financing is already in place. So you can see the World Cinema Fund in many cases as the final financing once the national and regional funds have been already explored. So that is the best case to apply once you have other funds in place.
Yes, and if I did not succeed in the project, I can apply in World Cinema Fund to distributor.
The distribution support distribution support is only for release in German cinemas. So it is for German distribution companies to apply. So they apply to release a film that was made in one of the World Cinema Fund regions.
And about the co-producers, what's the better way? Can I have the? I need to have a co-producer, or this is not important?
No,
when
it is.
I apply to the fund.
You can apply absolutely with no German co-producer, no European co-producer. If you naturally have one, then of course you apply with this partner. But you can apply with your local company from the eligible regions. And at a later stage, so if you have a partner already on board, this doesn't play a role in the eligibility or in the selection process. If you receive a recommendation for funding, then you can start looking for a German co-producer.
Okay.
Yes, but the German co-producer is important to be able to close the funding agreement.
Yes.
With us, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think it was my questions, and I don't know if the public have more.
Mm.
So let's open to the questions of the public. If you have any questions, please send in the chat so we can ask. Miriam, when you said that it's not just about money, the fund is not just about money, what is the further support?
Well, overall, I mean that the funding as part of the film financing structure internationally, as well as other selective funds, not only the World Cinema Fund, but other funds that are intended with an international support for co-productions. I mean that this is, as players, I think throughout the years it has established as the dynamic to support the so-called world cinema around the world, because otherwise it is very difficult to create visibility and to bring these types of films to a global audience. And this also has like a double effect, because once you have a global outreach, it impacts the outreach you will have in your home country. So it is a whole process that is attached to this support that is essentially financial in this way. And I mean also the relationship to the Berlinale as an international film festival. It of course, it on one side it opens certain doors, but it is also the main objective is that the support goes towards the country where money can be spent.
Yeah, well, we in France Cinema do Brasil, and I'm sure many producers already know that, but it's good that you can tell everybody that is listening, everybody in the audience. That's good. Let's see if you have any questions. So, Rafa, do you want to say something else? Any further questions?
The presentation was very good to me and explained everything because I have questions about the stage, about the project, and about the co-producers and to present the projects again is more, I think it was the most important to me to know about. So, and the criteria, because we ever don't know when the project is good to this type of found and another, you know.
Yeah, it is sometimes also difficult to decide because of the timeline, because of the deadline. So if you have 2 deadlines per year, so the first maybe it's too early, and then the second one maybe it is too late.
And for post-production, is it possible to apply?
Yes, it is also
with the film release.
Yes, for post-production, it is the same funding programs. You only when you submit the project and the submission form, you state the project is in post-production, and then the funding amount is a little bit less, but it is also possible to apply in post-production. Yes.
So, is it good because is a form to is a way to apply two times the same projects, the same project? Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it could be seen as two possible ways of applying.
So I will talk about a specific project. We applied a project in World Cinema Fund Europe and Classic. Two the 2 ways. One with a co-producer, a French co-producer, and another way with no co-producer. And the project was not supported, obviously. And now we are changed completely the project and you know, all of about the project, and we don't know what to do with this information now, because we will shoot after Corona, after pandemic, And so we are looking for funds, but it's difficult.
So it was, you applied for both programs at the same time, at the same submission?
Yes. I
Okay.
don't know if this is a problem or
yes. No, well, this is these are like very specific cases, and in this case, it depends on many aspects. How the project has changed, how it has evolved, what aspects changed, what financial aspects changed. So in this case, I would advise to write directly to the funding manager and to ask for feedback, which is, yeah, if it is possible to give feedback about the project, and also mention the changes it has made and see if it is possible to apply again.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, because of we receive a great amount of projects every year, so it is not possible to, unfortunately, to of course look at so many projects and also support. But if it has substantial changes, it is always a good idea to ask for feedback on that, and if it is possible to submit again. Yes.
What would be an urgent subject?
Well, there are many urgent subjects, I guess. It could be where we see that voices need to be heard about topics that are currently happening in our global society. Also, it is a matter of representation of subjects that are not represented enough on the big screen. Yeah, so there's a great diversity, I think, of subjects that can be considered urgent. While I was looking at our statistics, I was, as I mentioned during my presentation, I was impressed how it is directly visible to see in the case of Brazilian cinema, of projects that applied from Brazil, how it really through many years the percentage was constant. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes it has to do with the national funding opportunities. So, for example, Mexico. So I lived in Mexico many years and also worked there. And my impression is that international co-productions, for example, under this structure with international funds like the World Cinema Fund, aren't common, are not as common as, for example, in Brazil, because the national funding system in Mexico works. We could say it works well, or it is the structure or the whole financing scheme is made for. It is made for finding your financing through national public funds. So only with some exceptions, there are international co-productions being made with these kinds of funds. So now in recent years, it is interesting to see that many projects from Brazil are being submitted to the World Cinema Fund.
Kari?
let's take advantage of the meetings here, Rafa. Let's ask some more questions.
So, and how about the documentaries? What draws the most attention in a project, in a documentary project for you?
Well, we certainly support also documentaries, of course. And here it is essentially the same as in fiction. The vision of the project, of course, it are many aspects. The subject, the whole thematic plays a role, and just how these how the content is going to be expressed with artistic elements. Yeah, the whole package. I think it is important to say that we don't support films that are made for television. That is one thing that, yes, I didn't mention. Mm-hmm. So we support feature documentaries that are being made for cinemas.
Okay. And if my project is contemplated with what Cinema found, I will have some guarantees that I will be released in Germany after, or in, I don't know, released in Berlinale is more easier to do this connection with.
Yes. Well, it is. There is no obligation to have a release at the Berlinale, and also there is also not a guarantee that this can happen. This is it is a work that you will do with your German producer. He obviously has means and the network to look for a release in a European film festival or in a German film festival, but it is so there is no obligation to have a premiere at the Berlinale, and it is also not they don't will be necessarily selected, but obviously through the support the project has more visibility, and also this visibility helps for it to be so you can submit to film festivals that are already aware of the project maybe, or it consolidates the whole production structure, so you are able to reach the needed institutions. Yes, but well, many films that are funded happen to be selected at the Berlinale, but as I mentioned, it is not an obligation. But yes, I mean the knowledge from the German partner, so he knows the European territory, and he can facilitate, of course, the necessary resources to try to have a distribution in Europe.
Miriam, Francisco Machado Pereira is asking, he's interested in the general situation for films and TV production in Germany and Europe nowadays. Is there a movement of returning the productions, film sets?
Mm-hmm. So is the question about returning the productions because of the Corona situation, I guess?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so it is a little bit different in every European country, because we are not in the same situation as they are in France, maybe, where the government has different rules and regulations. It is not the same in Germany. But I know that since a few months, when things calmed down a little bit in Germany, the funding institutions, like the regional funds and all other official institutions, set up some tools to be able to return to sets. So I believe film shootings are being resumed since then, of course, with the whole hygiene program and many rules. But national film productions did take place during the summer, which is a season where a lot of productions are being made here in Germany. I don't know how the situation will look for in the fall now and in the winter. And I also know from some international co-productions that are being postponed their shooting abroad. Also some projects were refunded. Also some shootings abroad are being postponed or moved around a little bit, which makes, of course, the whole situation very difficult, as we all know. But yes, we can't tell how the situation will look in the future.
Yeah.
Very difficult. All of the world, the situation.
So any more questions from the audience?
So I saw a question before from Luciano Torres.
That's I think that's the one that I just, oh no. Oh yeah, he's asking how to submit a project.
Yes. So the main aspects to consider is the director from the project needs to come from one of the World Cinema Fund eligible regions or countries, and these regions, the list of countries can be found on our website, and also the film needs to be filmed there. And the best time to apply for funding at the World Cinema Fund is when the project is already in advanced development. So there is a strong script in place, there is a team in place, and also some substantial financing already in place. And there needs to be a main production company in the project that holds the rights from the project. And if the project is eligible and recommended for funding, later on you need to have a German co-producer on board in order to receive the funding. And so this becomes a co-production.
Good. Rafa?
I don't have any questions. And I don't know, because the countries, we have a lot of information on website. It's good to everybody. I recommended everybody to read, and always the submission form and the
yeah, it can be a little bit confusing between all the different programs, but there's also a section on our website with frequently asked questions, and there are a number of questions that are typically being made, and there you can also see a difference between the funding programs. But projects from Brazil are essentially eligible in our World Cinema Fund Classic program. Of course, if you happen to have a co-production with a European country that is part of the Creative Europe Media program, you can also be eligible for the Europe program. And also, if you happen to be co-producing with a country in Africa, maybe, you are also eligible for, under some circumstances, eligible for World Cinema Fund Africa support, for example. So
good to know.
Yes. So don't shy from applying, regardless of how your co-production structure looks. There will be some way to fall into one of these categories. Yes.
Okay, so we have no more questions for the audience. We're coming to an end. I'd like to invite everybody again to take a look at the showmethefund.co, so you can download the last editions of the funds that we made the compilation, and also the next one that is going to be launched tomorrow. Thank you once again to Festival de Gramado and Gramado Film Market. Thank you, Miriam, for your time.
Oh, thank you very
Rafaela.
much. It was a really great pleasure to be here, and also to continue the relationship also with the Cinema do Brasil. And thank you very much to the Gramado Film Festival and to the audience and to Rafaela. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to be here.
Nice to meet you, Miriam.
And nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Thank you to the audience. See you then.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, Karin.
Tchau, querida.
Gramado Film Market. As conexões do festival.